My son cut me off after the divorce, never once asking for my side. 9 years later, he came back, but not for me. I'm Raymond Torres, 59 years old. If you told me 9 years ago I'd be sitting here typing this, not for pity, not for advice, just to finally let something out, I wouldn't have believed you. I used to think time fixed things. It doesn't. It just strips the paint off and shows you what's underneath. Back then, I was 50. My marriage to Denise had lasted over 2 decades. We had a son together, Lucas, who had just turned 21. When the divorce hit, Lucas didn't hesitate. He chose his mother's version of the story and shut me out of his life without a word. He blocked my number, deleted me from every platform, and the last thing he said was, "Mom told me everything I need to know." I tried, I texted, called, even emailed. Once, I waited outside his apartment in Boulder hoping to catch a glimpse of him. He had campus security escort me away. I got the message. The pain wasn't just in losing my wife. It was the complete erasure of the bond I thought I had with my son. No questions, no curiosity, just silence. Denise had spun a perfect version of events. That I was a cold, distant workaholic to focused on designing buildings to care about the people inside them. And yes, I worked long hours. I was the only one earning, and I did it to give them both stability. But when the argument started, when the cracks showed, she had the spotlight. I became the story's villain. I spent the next 9 years buried in work and taking care of my father, who was battling dementia. He passed away last spring. After his funeral, I stood alone at the cemetery and realized I had no one left. No wife, no son, no family. So when my phone rang 2 months ago and I heard a hesitant, unfamiliar voice say, "Hey Dad," I almost dropped the damn phone. It was Lucas. I hadn't heard his voice in almost a decade. It was deeper now, slower and unsure. He said he'd seen an obituary online about my dad and wanted to check on me. I didn't even know he still kept tabs on my life. We made small talk. I told him the truth, that I missed him more than he could imagine. He said he'd like to come visit and talk. We settled on dinner at my house in Portland the following Saturday. I cleaned the place top to bottom, cooked chicken parmesan, his old favorite, lit some candles, set the table like I was expecting a magazine crew. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to show him I still knew how to be a father. He arrived right on time. The moment I opened the door and saw him standing there, older but still with traces of the kid I used to lift onto my shoulders, it all collapsed inside me, but I held it together. Dinner was polite, surface level, more like catching up with an old acquaintance than reuniting with your child. Still, I was grateful. Then I asked the question I'd carried like a stone in my chest for nearly a decade. Why didn't you ever ask for my side of the story? He looked away. I guess I didn't want to know, he said quietly. Then he apologized, said he felt ashamed, that he regretted everything. I wanted to believe him, God, I did, but something felt off. Eventually, the conversation shifted. I asked him what really made him reach out now. That's when he told me he'd gotten engaged a few months ago. Money was tight. He had hoped the lawyers would contact him about my dad's estate. When that didn't happen, he decided to come to me directly. I hate asking, he said, with a sheepish smile. But Grandma always said I'd inherit everything since I'm her only grandchild. Just anything you can give would help. The wedding's gonna be big. And there it was, the twist. All the hope I had cracked in that instant. I realized I was just a wallet again, not a father, a line item in a budget. I told him the truth, that the will had been changed years ago, that everything had been passed to me. I was planning to use the inheritance to open a small woodworking studio. Something I'd dreamed of for years, but I added that, out of my own pocket, I'd be willing to give him a few thousand to help with the wedding. His smile faded like fog in the sun. That's it, he asked. That's what I'm offering, I said calmly. Grandma told me I'd inherit everything. And you also never visited her once after the divorce, I said. His tone sharpened. You're just proving everything Mom said about you. I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. And you're proving everything I feared about why you came back. He stood, flustered. This is unbelievable. I came here to reconnect and to ask for help. And you're just selfish. No, I said. You came here to see if there was a payday. He went silent. That's when I hit him with something real. If you hadn't blocked me, you would have seen my texts. You would have known your grandfather was dying. You could have said goodbye. Maybe then, maybe, he would have kept that promise to you. His face changed. What texts? He asked. Unblock my number. He did. I forwarded every message. The ones where I begged him to talk. The updates on his grandfather's health. The invitation to the funeral. We sat in silence. I didn't know, he whispered. I didn't want to know. I nodded, stood up. I don't hate you, Lucas. I probably never could. But I don't trust you. And love without trust, that's not love. He tried to speak, but I raised my hand. I spent 9 years missing you, grieving you while you were still alive. But I'm done grieving. I'm done waiting. And I'm done being a father to someone who only remembers I exist when there's money involved. He left without another word. I stood in my house, quiet again, but for the first time in almost a decade, I felt at peace. 3 days have passed since Lucas walked out. I haven't heard a word. I don't know if I ever will. Karma. And I think I'm okay with that. I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in nearly a decade. Denise. For a second, I thought it had to be spam. A prank maybe. But there it was, her name glowing on the screen, like a ghost that refused to stay buried. I let it go to voicemail. She called again the next morning, and again that evening. On the fourth try, I finally picked up. Not out of curiosity, not out of hope. I was just tired. Tired of avoiding the past. Tired of letting them control the story while I stayed silent. Raymond, she said softly, cautious, like her voice had aged under glass. Can we talk? I didn't respond. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. You're right, I said flatly. Silence on the other end. Then a breath. Lucas came home upset. He told me everything. I almost hung up. I didn't want to hear her twist things again. I didn't want her reality stitched over mine one more time. But something inside me said, let her talk. Finish this. She continued. He said you offered him money, and he turned it down. I scoffed. Not exactly how it happened. I know, she admitted. I know when Lucas is lying. But that's not why I'm calling. Then why are you calling, Denise? There was a pause. I want to apologize. That stopped me. 8 years, no. 9, and now this. Little late for that, I said. I know. Her voice cracked. I destroyed you. And I told myself it was justified. That you were cold, distant. That you didn't care about us. It made it easier for Lucas to stay with me. If I painted you as the villain, so you admit it. I do. I was angry. I was scared. I didn't want him to choose you over me. I knew if he heard your side, if he knew who you really were, he might have. I never would have turned him against you, I said. I know, she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, staring out at my backyard. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, the same breeze that had brushed through the night. Lucas walked back into my life. You know what the worst part was, I said. It wasn't the lies, not even losing the house or have my retirement. It was watching my own son erase me, like I never mattered. Like every Lego build, every science fair, every sleepless night with a fever meant nothing. I'm sorry, Raymond, she said. Truly, I am. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt old. I begged him to talk to me. I continued. 4 years. You told him I was harassing him. You threatened me with lawyers. I know, she said again. That's what I regret most. I used him. I didn't think about what it would do to him or to you. I closed my eyes, took a breath. Why are you really calling? I asked. This isn't about guilt. Not only that, she hesitated. Lucas still thinks he's owed something. He said your father promised him something. He did, I said. Before the divorce. Before Lucas cut me off. Before he ignored 9 years of messages and showed up here expecting a payday. I know he hurt you, she said gently. But he's still your son. No, I said, calm but clear. He's your son. You raised him to believe I was a monster. Now you want me to help pay for a wedding to some guy who probably still lives on student loans and podcasts. She went quiet. I offered him something, I added, more than he deserved. Not because he earned it, but because I needed to know if there was still a trace of that boy I used to read to every night. There wasn't. I don't want this to end like this, she said. You'll regret it one day. I let out a tired laugh. You think I haven't already been regretting things for the last 9 years? Lucas asked me to talk to you. He wanted me to say he's sorry, that he was young, confused. Denise paused, then added quietly, I twisted everything. He already said that, I replied. But sorry doesn't undo 9 years. Sorry doesn't erase silence. Sorry doesn't turn guilt into love. He's still your blood. I stood up and walked to the corner of the living room, toward my father's old mahogany cabinet, the one Lucas used to hide behind during hide and seek, back when we lived in the Craftsman on the Tillamook Street. I stared at it for a long time. You know what hurts the most, Denise? I said finally. I would have given him everything, not just money, my time, my trust, my forgiveness. I kept waiting he'd come back. I exhaled, but now that he has, I see it for what it is. He didn't come back for me. He came back for what I have. He misses you, Raymond. No, he misses what I represent. There was a long pause. He's devastated, she said softly. So was I answered calmer. Another silence. Then something in her voice shifted lower, more uncertain. I'm not asking for money, not for him. I just want to know, do you hate him? No, I said, honestly. But I also don't know him anymore. And the version I met last week, that man didn't love me. He loved what I symbolized. A lost chance, a safety net, a name he could cash. I looked down at the grooves in the cabinet's worn handles, thumbed a nick Lucas had made with a toy sword when he was 5. I'm done being useful only when it suits them. And with that, I ended the call. A few days later, a letter arrived. No return address, just my name, written by hand. Inside was a photo. Lucas, age 5, sitting on my shoulders in the Columbia River Gorge, grinning with his gap-toothed smile, his hair flying in the wind. Taped to the back was a short note, written in pen. I don't know how to fix what I broke. Maybe I never can. But you were the best dad I could have asked for. I'm sorry I didn't realize that sooner. No request for money. No mention of the wedding. Just that. I placed the photo on the mantle beside my father's urn. But I didn't call him. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. Because I finally understood something. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion. And sometimes the only way to heal is to walk away.